The plains itself, it lies right in between the Rockies and parts of the Appalachian Mountains, and it's one of these spots in the country that can get a lot of diverse weather. Reason is its proximity to so many different types of air masses. A, being continental cold air coming in from Canada, you get dry air coming off the Rocky Mountains, plus you get warm, dry air off the deserts, and you add in the maritime tropical air, which you get from the Gulf of Mexico, and you've got 4 distinct air masses coming into one part of the country, and kind of like the weather blender, really, over the Central Plains. I grew up in North Dakota, so I was part of the Great Plains as a kid. And I always thought to myself, I'm like, why don't people plant more trees here? I mean, we don't have any trees. Let's plant more trees, okay? But if you look at what the soil is like in parts of the Great Plains, it changes dramatically. It gets rockier, it gets sandier. It's all different types of soils that don't hold soil moisture very well, versus areas east of the Missouri River, they hold that water a lot longer. So that has an impact. So for example, if you're farming in western Nebraska, you can't rely on precipitation from each storm. You have to irrigate. And if you drive through Nebraska, western Kansas, you'll see irrigation booms everywhere. That's the only way they can really make it. They can't rely on the weather consistently enough because of that change in land. When you look at states, let's say Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, if you've traveled any of those states, there's no trees around, especially in the western half of those states. And that has a tremendous influence on what we call friction. So when you have trees, wind blowing across that land, it slows it down. Now when you don't have trees, there's no friction, there's nothing slowing that wind down, so the air actually accelerates, it's speeding up faster and faster, and that's an important factor when you talk about tornado development or even severe thunderstorms. If you look at distance, really, like let's say it's a state like Texas, for example. If you took Texas, and they're maybe 200 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. That's our water source for bringing in warm, moist air. You take now Nebraska. Let's take the city of North Platte, Nebraska. That's 900 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. So it does have a huge factor. It may take 30 hours for the Gulf moisture to get to North Platte, where it may take 10 hours for a storm to pull up into maybe Houston, Texas. And that makes a difference in how the weather goes across the country. You'll get more precipitation in areas where it takes a short amount of time to get to the location, and you'll get less precipitation in areas where it takes longer to get the Gulf moisture up. It's the perfect place to try to understand the weather. It's so complex, and I think scientists spend probably most of their time trying to understand that part of the country, and we still really don't, but we try to.